What's up, squad? Redeye Rod here. I'm back with another video to explain and kind of help you guys understanding the purchase of any vehicle. In this case, I kind of want to go through exactly what I did and hopefully add some value and some critical feedback to you as far as what it takes, what it took for me, and what it takes to actually get a car of your dreams. You know, this may or may not work for all, but just to have a general consensus or some type of an idea of what it takes and the steps that I've taken and the due diligence and hard work that I put in to make sure that I got the best out of the dealership and the dealership didn't get the best out of me. Stay tuned. Okay, so before we get into the actual purchasing of the Charger Redeye Hellcat, I want to kind of give you guys a little history of where I've come from. Originally, I had a Scat Pack. I had a 2017 Scat Pack. It was an Octane Red. I did a little mods with it. I kind of did the mid-muffler delete. I didn't do the Corsa Extreme like I wanted to. I also swapped out the hood. I put a Hellcat hood on it. I got it painted satin black. I put some Hellcat replicas on it. I was running 315s, and that car was a beast. Trust me, when I tell you that car was a beast, that car was a beast. It was then sold to one of my good friends. Well, he wasn't a friend at the time, but we somehow kind of created a friendship and a relationship because I always wanted to know who would buy that car. And once I found the buyer and I realized that this guy was just as active with the car as I was, as far as not losing races, you know, our relationship kind of built from there. Just to give you a little bit more background into that, shout out to my boy Juan. He's a good guy. The reason I even decided to sell this car was originally I went and got the car appraised, and Dodge came back and was like, hey, we'll go ahead and give you $22,500 for the car. That's $22,500 for the car. And I walked out of there, you know, with my tail tucked, like, there's no way. I owed about $30 on the car at the time, so I was like, there's no way. And then all of a sudden, you know, we go into the new age of COVID. Now, a lot of you may or may not know, but when COVID hit, a lot of facilities, a lot of manual labor plants shut down. So what that means is once it shut down, Dodge wasn't producing any vehicles. So the dealerships were bone dry when it came to selling cars. A lot of people were buying Scat Packs left and right. Scat Packs somehow miraculously during COVID spiked, and everyone wanted a Scat Pack. I think mostly, you know, that's because of what K-Ban started with the turn shit, no lame shit. Shout out to him. He's doing his thing with that. But yeah, so back to the dealership, they were bone dry. You know, they weren't getting in any production cars from Dodge. The plants were closed. And so what they did was, you know, as all businesses do, they started looking externally for used Scats. And I recently posted my Scat for around $28,000. And I posted it on my IG. And like 2-3 days later, maybe even a week, you know, Waldorf dealership in Maryland reached out to me. One of the sales reps there was like, hey, listen, we want to buy your Scat Pack. And I was like, what? At first I thought it was a gimmick. I'm not going to lie. I'm suspect. I think everybody's suspect. It doesn't matter who you are, what you say to me, until you kind of prove that you're a valid individual. I kind of assume that you're suspect. So I took that approach, and you know, after talking with the guy after a while, we negotiated some numbers, and I was able to get what I kind of owed on my car. So that was the real reason why I sold it. Once I sold that car, I was then on the market for something else. So once the car was sold, I've always had in my mind that I wanted to track hog. And, you know, I posted a video about my decision-making process on whether, you know, it was going to be track hog or the Charger Redeye. You know, you can always go in my playlist and check out that video. I don't want to talk too much about that and kind of water you guys down with that, but, you know, I'll put a card up here. You can go ahead and check that out. But we'll move forward with the process on how I ended up making the final decision with the Charger Redeye. So once I sold my Scat, I went to the dealership, and my whole intent was to go ahead and order a 2020 Charger Hellcat. I knew that they had the power dollars out there, so I was looking at $7,070 off of the MSRP or the sticker price of the car. So I decided to go ahead and order that, right? As we were ordering it, the numbers were going through. We got our numbers, and I put the money down, and I'm like, all right, let's go ahead, let's punch this deal, let's make it happen. And as they go back into the office, the guy comes back, and he's like, I got good news, and I have bad news. And I was like, damn, what could this be? So me being who I am, I always want to know the bad news first. Just, save the good news for later. So I asked him, I said, hey, what's the bad news? He's like, well, we reached out to Dodge. They're no longer allowing us to purchase or submit orders for 2020 wide-body Hellcats. And I was like, dang, okay. This is a major setback for me because I wanted to take advantage of the power dollars. And I was like, okay, so what's the good news? So the good news is, he goes, the good news is we're able to order the Charger Redeye. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He said, that's really good news. We can go ahead and order that for you. He's like, now this is the finance guy or sales guy, the sales guy's manager. He's like, I didn't know that we can order this early. Mind you, we're in early September. About September 7th through the 9th. I put the order in on the 9th. They're like, hey, we can't order the 2020 wide-body Hellcat, but we can go ahead and order the Charger Redeye. So right away, I'm like, all right, let me think about this. So I thought about it. I walked outside. I ran back in and was like, yo, let's go ahead and process that order. So we sit down. Obviously, Dodge did not let any of the dealerships know at the time that order can actually be initiated and that they're accepting orders for the 2021 Charger Redeye Hellcat. So he comes out with a pamphlet. It's about 20 to 30 pages of like line items full of like the specs that I can get the car built out. So we spent about 35-40 minutes going through each line item on the car. Yay, nay. He's like, yes or no. As I say yes, he puts a check. If I say no, he puts an X. Now he has to manually do this, but then he has to go back into his office and the computer and enter these in manually. So we couldn't really build it how you would if you were to go to the Dodge website. Now this is what's like most critical, and I want you guys to really understand and listen to me here. Once you're building your car and you get that number, make sure that you make that sales manager sign that paper that they give you with your out the door number. And always make sure, say, listen, for clarity, this is my out the door number. And for you that's unaware of what that means is, it has tax, titles, and all of the fees included. This is what your number is to walk out of the dealership with your car. I'm going to repeat myself. Make sure you allow the manager to sign that final number, regardless of how long it's going to take that car to get to the dealership, that order to be processed. Once they sign that paperwork, you are now, they're now glued and tied to that contract. It's like signing a contract. So make sure that you take advantage of that. Also, another thing that I did during the ordering process was I eliminated a lot of features that I can sit out here and have friends or, these other customization shops do. For instance, they wanted $3,500 to put stripes down the middle of the car. Well, I have a friend that can wrap the middle of the car with 2 stripes for $900. So I can save about $2,100 there. Is that right? Nope. 35. Yeah. So I can just save money there with allowing someone outside to put the stripes on the car. Another fee that they wanted to tie on to the cost was tint. I don't need to pay $300 for legal tint. I like my tint to be a little darker. And the guy that I go to, I pay $200 to get tint on there. And it's going to be the tint that I want. Like right now, I have 5% all the way around the car. Except for the front windshield, I have 35%. So just make sure when you're going through that list and you're looking at these line items and ask yourself, is this really something that's going to benefit me long run? In the long run, is it really going to benefit me? So yes, I didn't need to stripe down the middle. I did not need them to paint the calipers on my car. That was another $500 that they want, maybe $900, I don't remember. but they almost wanted $1,000 to change the color of your calipers. Well, guess what? I can go to a shop and pay them $300 and I can get it painted a color that they don't even offer. So that's another way I save some money. And it's the same thing with the wheels, right? You got the calipers and then you have the wheels. They wanted to charge me $2,000 for the brass monkey wheels. Well, I opted out of that as well because I don't believe in paying $2,000 when I can go to a shop, get these wheels powder coated for about $700, any color that I choose, or even paint it any color that I choose for less of that amount. So already I'm at a net value. I'm probably saving at least $5,000 to $6,000 off of my total invoice by electing to go outside of Dodge to get all of this customized work done. Because I want to be a little bit more transparent with you guys. I feel like we're all in this together. We're all customers at some point. And what I want to do is I want to show you my initial invoice, my bill, when I put the order in. But before I show you that, I do want to tell you that, as a customer, we need to take control of, our situation in these dealerships. A lot of times they take advantage of us. They try to intimidate us. They try to tell us what we can and cannot do, when in fact it's the other way around. And once we just take our time, breathe, apply some patience, and just really think about the different offers that are out there, we can all come up with the best decision for ourselves. Now again, I don't know everyone's situation, but I'm here to kind of encourage you guys to do better, make the best decision, and kind of walk out of there happy knowing that you got what you wanted out of the deal, how you wanted it, and it works for you. And a prime example of that is me putting down the $500. When I put down the $500, I kind of sat with the sales manager. I believe it was the sales manager. It was the sales rep and the sales manager, and we kind of went over the bill docs, the sheets, the total price, and then we got to the point where it's like, okay, hey, it's time to put down the money. So, we were talking about $1,000. I'm like, I'm not putting down $1,000 because it's no guarantee that the power dollars will be on the car when it gets here. Then they come back to me and say, hey, listen, we still want to get this order in the window, may get it back out to you. What do you think it would be reasonable for you? So I said $500. And it's like, oh, that's easy. We can do $500. Normally we want 10% of the car. I'm like, I'm not putting 10% of the car down. It's like, okay, cool, whatever. We'll do the $500. So I put down the $500, but I also allowed them to know that I was not willing to budge on the car if I didn't get any kind of incentives. And at that time, the incentives that I was chasing was the power dollars. So if you're unaware, the Charger Redeye comes with 797 horsepower. So that's $7,970 off of my window, the sticker price on the window, which would have significantly dropped the price of my car. Once they understood where I came from, they was like, okay, they're like, Rod, this is what we can do for you. When the car comes, if the incentives aren't tied to, if the power dollars aren't still here, you can cancel the car or the contract with the car. You don't have to take the car, and we'll refund you the $500. So as I was saying, right here, I'm showing you guys that invoice. Like I said, out that door, when I put the $500 down, it was $87,470 out the door. Now that does not include the $500 that I put down. That does not include the $500 that I put down. Just want you guys to know that they don't apply it to the bill up front. They apply it on the back end when the car is delivered, and you're doing all of the paperwork. Now, once we submitted that, I got a VIN number in about maybe a week or two. They assigned the car a VIN number. Now, this is what's most important about building a car of your own. That VIN number is pretty much like the Social Security number that you have that's tied to you. That VIN number gives you a status of the car. That VIN number tells you the production stage that it's in. And then that VIN number also, when you call in, you can get your vehicle order number as well. So there's two things. You get the VIN number first, and then you get the vehicle order number. And I might have that backwards. It may be the vehicle order number first, and then the VIN number. But I think they both come hand in hand. Once you get that, that's how you track exactly where your car is and the stages that it's in production, and kind of trying to get a rough ETA. Well, I ordered mine during COVID, and those options weren't available for me because the labor hours that the company was allowing their employees to work. So no one was really updating anyone as far as that. So I had to constantly set up a weekly call with my sales rep to kind of understand what phase or what stage the car is in, trying to, you know, really fighting with them to kind of get like an ETA or something like that. Something of the nature to kind of make me like feel comfortable and understand exactly when the car is going to come in. So again, I ordered the car in September 9th. As you can see from the paperwork that I'll be providing either now or later, I ordered the car September 9th, and I had a 5-month wait. Now, those 5 months taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about where I am from a financial perspective, but most important, those 5 months allowed me to free up a lot of money from my scat as far as monthly payments, car insurance, and gas. Those were 3 things that I did not have to worry about for 5 months, almost a half a year. So I was able to generate and save a significant amount of money to put towards my Charger Redeye. Initially, I was mad that it was taking so long because I couldn't see the benefits in it up front. But as we got like in month 4 and month 5, you know, I'm going out doing things. I'm like, hey, I got a little bit more money in my pocket. Like, what's going on here? So I was able to actually free up a lot more money by doing that. So again, you know, because you're not getting your car tomorrow doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. You know, everything has its perspective, and you just have to look at it from a different perspective as well. So I was able to actually save more walking into this car than I was had I gotten it the second day. Also, I was able to free up a little bit of debt that I had here and there, there and there. So when this car came in, obviously the payments or whatever it is that I had to pay on it would be the only thing that would be my concern at the time. But throughout the 6 months, you know, understanding that as well, I had cold feet. There was times I was hot and extremely like happy that the car was coming. And then there was times where I was like at a low, like, geez, like I'm not even getting an update from Dodge. Dodge's not telling me. My sales reps keep reaching out to their sales rep at Dodge, and they're not getting any updates. I got like 3 escalations within Dodge customer care. I'm getting emails flying back and forth saying, hey, we're still monitoring and tracking your car. All we know is that it's waiting to be built. We have all of the parts, but they're waiting to put it on the line to assemble the car. I've gotten that for about 3.5 months. 3.5 months, I got that same story. And I almost gave up on the car, honestly, because it's like, all right, now y'all just playing games with me. I'm looking online and I'm seeing other people, they're getting details on their car. They're getting estimated ship dates. And I'm like, I know for a fact that I'm one of the few that ordered this car before Dodge announced that you can order this car. I manually entered my order. So I felt like I should have been the first to get any of this information. Well, I guess it's dealership specific, and my dealership just wasn't getting those updates. But I stuck through it. And what helped me get through it was the weekly updates I had with my sales rep. Shout out to Destin over at Capital Chrysler and Garner. He did a wonderful job with my car. Shout out to him. But, you know, him providing me the weekly updates, him giving me access to reach out to his manager whenever I want. And I know for a fact that I annoyed the hell out of these people at the dealership because I'll just drive up there. It was just some days I just felt like my car was there and that they were sitting there repairing a damage during transport or something like that. Don't mind me. I don't know why I was thinking this, but I was thinking like of anything. So I would just pop up at the dealership. And I know those guys are getting tired of me popping up there, but I do appreciate them. I appreciate the patience. I guess at that point they understood and they realized, like, listen, this guy really going to buy this car when it gets here. I'm sure no one's running up here every other day or every other week trying to make sure that their car isn't up here. So that's pretty much where I was. It was hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold throughout the 6 months. I say 6 months because I'm rounding up, but it really was like about 5. Again, you know, I do appreciate Capital Chrysler and Garner for putting up with me. But I do want to say one thing. I had a scare. It was a false alarm. A buddy of mine's buddy, a friend of a friend, told a friend of mine that they seen a cinnamon stick Redeye Hellcat at the dealership. Now, when that news got to me, I was like, there's no way. It was like, yeah, but this guy doesn't know that I ordered, like, no one knew that I ordered it and where I ordered it from. Well, obviously people knew I ordered it because I dropped the video, but no one knew exactly where I ordered it from. So for him to identify that dealership and where the color, the specs, and all of that stuff, I'm like, hold on, something's just not right here. And I called my sales rep right away, like, hey, dude, what's going on? Like, my car's there. I was told my car's there. You need to run up there right now and check it out. He's like, I'm on lunch. And I just pretty much told him, like, hey, listen, I'm on the way. You don't have to worry about taking a short lunch. I'm coming up there to pick up my car. So I get up there and, you know, I'm in the truck. And me and the sales rep, he jumps in and we're driving all through the dealership looking for this car. And he's like, I haven't seen that car come in at all today. And I was like, so why would another sales rep try to sell someone my car? He's like, I can kind of tell you exactly what it was. I think that we have a log of incoming shipment, and they probably didn't know that it was your car. So when they seen it as, you know, it's arriving within the next month or so, they're already talking to people and pushing the car to be sold to other people. And he's like, that's probably what happened. And what he did was he showed them a picture on the computer. And like all of the air just was like released. Like the pressure was released. And I was just like, woo, okay, cool. Because I thought you guys were about to sell my car that has my name on it. So yeah, that right there, that was probably one of the crazy moments that I have. I literally was at that dealership for about 2 hours driving around looking. I was in the service bay. I was in the detail bay. I was in the collision bay. I was in all of whatever bays they had. I was in there. I was in the manager's office. Hell, I was looking behind his office for the toy car if it was one. Okay, squad. So, all jokes aside, I want to get a little bit more serious here because these next few topics that I talk about are very critical to the car buying process. Very, very critical. And I can't stress this enough because, you know, it saddens me to know that, you know, some dealerships are really taking advantage of us, you know, or trying to take advantage of us. And I know that they're taking advantage of a lot of people. They're putting in people in bad deals. And when I say bad deals, you know, making people put down a lot of money and then the interest rates are still high, or they're making them pay for accessories on a car that they don't even need, or nor do they even recognize. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about, you know, the delivery date of the car, right? So the car, I'm sitting at home working, and I get a text from my sales rep saying, hey, your car's here. This is the picture that he sent me. Within 30 minutes, I was at the dealership. I called all of my squad, my entire crew from Shake the Block and others. Shout out to everyone that actually came out to help me deliver the car, you know, help me receive the car, take delivery of this car, and all of that good stuff. If you didn't see my last video, my whole squad was out there. I let them touch it before I touched it. That's just what kind of person I am. But you know, let's turn the channel up a little bit. Not the channel, but let's go ahead and change topics real quick and get back to the point at hand. You know, when you're in this dealership and, you know, you're signing all this paperwork and, you know, your sales rep is telling you about incentives and you have your number, you should have your number by then. So my number was, again, it was $87,000. Actually, it was $87,470. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. $87,470. So I had my number. I had my check for that. I had all of my money. I was ready to go. So when I get in there, I'm sitting down with my sales rep. We're going through the paperwork. We're doing the title. We're doing this. I have my bank on the phone in my ear. She's walking me through it from, you know, the external side, because this pretty much made my process a lot faster for me because I came with all my financial information from my bank and I didn't want to go through the dealership. And the reason I didn't want to go through the dealership is because when they run your credit, you get about at least a minimum of 7 inquiries on your credit. And a lot of times they cannot guarantee you any kind of interest rate. Well, when I reached out to my bank and I told them what I was looking for, they kind of, like a pre-approval, told me what my interest rate would be. And then once we were able to identify that, I was like, okay, cool. No big deal. No big deal at all. Sign it. Let's get it done. Let's move forward. So I was able to come to the dealership with all of my own like funding and everything for the car. So I get in there and I'm sitting down with my sales rep and he says, hey, you know, there are some incentives. So I'm like, what are the incentives? And he goes down the list and he shows me, he's like, okay, there's a $6K incentive. I was like, oh, cool. That makes me feel a lot better because I don't know if you remember early in this video, I said that, you know, the $500 was all dependent, that down payment was all dependent on whether I was going to get the power dollars. Well, this is a little short than the power dollars, but it's still $6K, which still will bring the number down. So the financial guy comes out, the finance guy comes out, and he hands me a piece of paper. It's a bill of sale. And he goes, hey, Rod, I did wonders. I was able to drop this number down a little bit. I take a look at it. So I go and I look at the paper and it's like $86,400. So right away I'm like, hold on, something's not right here. He's like, what do you mean? I was able to knock off X amount of dollars. And I'm like, where's my 6K? Where's the incentive? I'm not carrying over any negative equity. I'm coming into this as a brand new deal. Where is my 6K? So he freezes for a second and he flips the paper over and I kind of like aggressively snatches the paper and I flip it back over and I'm like, show me where my 6K is. So I'm going through each line item with him. And I'm like, show me my 6K on this paper where my incentive is. He's like, oh, well, you know, it's tied into, we put a warranty for your wheels and your tires. And I'm like, wheels and tires, I opted out of all of that stuff. How did you tie that back into this? Not only that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but that whole warranty on the wheels and tires is bogus. They only replace a tire if there's a defect. They only replace your wheels if there's a defect. If you get a curb rash, they're not replacing it. If you get a nail or something in the sidewall, they may replace it, but they're going to fight you tooth and nail with it. I know from personal experience because they did that to me with my Scat Pack. So to me, that $2K was not worth it. Then they try to charge me an extra couple $100 for nitrous-filled tires. And I'm like, I don't need that as well. And then there are a few other line items, but he didn't get to it because I was like, I don't want any of that. So he snatches the paper up, and he goes back into his office. And at that moment, I looked at my sales rep and said, this is my number. My number is $87,470. It shouldn't be no more, no less. If you subtract 6K from that, we'd be looking at $81,470 out the door. He's like, yeah, you're right. Let me go ahead and talk to the finance guy. So he gets up, he goes in there, he's talking to him. The finance guy's like, really? Is that his number? He was in like disbelief. He's like, do you have a copy of this? And my sales rep is like, yeah, I have it in a folder for him. So he goes, he gives it to him, he shows him. So you guys got to remember early in the video I said it was important to have the sales manager sign that original invoice. Because he signed that, it locked him into that number. So he comes back out and he's like, hey, I spoke with the finance guy and he's working right now. I was like, you know, because this guy knows I'm very sharp when it comes to these things. And I expect everyone else to go into these situations just as sharp as I was, because I could have lost out on a lot of money because him, you know, trying to speed talk me, him rushing me through things and just forcing me into something that I don't need. So my sales rep comes back out and he's like, hey, I went in there, I told him, this guy's really sharp. You're not going to be able to get over on him. If you come out here with a number that doesn't make sense to him, he's going to walk out of the door. So he comes out, my sales rep, this is what my sales rep's telling me, he said to the finance guy. So the finance guy comes out and he goes, hey, I think this number is more like the number you were looking for. And he puts the paper down and flips it over, and my number was $80,800. $80,800. They said to me, this is the lowest we've sold this car. We've sold a few of these. This is the lowest we've sold this car. We have not sold a car cheaper than this, or even at this price. I was like, not my problem. You know, I felt like it was a steal. So once he showed me that number, I'm like, where do I sign? So I'm signing. But in the back of my mind, I already did the math. $6K off of my number should have left me at $81,470. But I was at $80,800. So whatever he did at the top end of the deal to knock off a few $100s, he must have forgot to apply it back. But I'm not going to argue with him. I'm going to take that as well, a few $100 off, and we're going to move forward. And then they applied my $500 down payment on top of that. Now, I really hope that this information helped you guys a lot, because again, I want to see everybody win. I want you guys to go into these dealerships with confidence. I want to make sure you guys are owning what's going on. I want you to own the situation, regardless of your credit score is not that good, regardless of whether you have negative equity. Control your situation. You are the customer. They are not the customer. You are the customer. What you say, go. And if they cannot come to terms with you on what you want, you leave. Now you can go to the next dealership and you explain to the next dealership, hey, this is what I just went through. If you guys are going to do anything like this and you can't work with me, I'm going to leave here too. So it's a little bit of, moving around and kind of getting them to understand where you are. Once you get them to understand your expectations up front, and you're firm with that, they know that there's no wiggle room for BS. They know that there's no wiggle room to start tying in additional fees and all of this crazy nonsense that you can get done for so much cheaper outside of the dealership. Now, if you guys have any questions, obviously ask me in the comments. I'm going to try my best to get to every kind of question. You can reach out to me on Instagram. A lot of people are already reaching out to me asking me for pointers. I don't mind helping. What I will say is I'm not a finance guy, so if you're expecting me to jump on the phone with you while you're at a dealership, I'm not going to do that. You can rewind this video, kind of take pointers, and just pretty much use what I'm providing, the value that I'm providing in this video, to go ahead and get your dream car. Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be this car here. It does not have to be the Redeye Charger. It can be a Honda. It could be a BMW. It could be whatever your dream car is. Hell, even if it's a moped. I want you guys to have the confidence when you're going into these dealerships to control the situation. That is the most important thing, is to control the situation. But in order to control the situation, you have to be patient with yourself. They win and they beat us and they take advantage of us when we don't slow down and we actually take the time to read and understand what's being said to us. It isn't until you're able to do that when you're going to fully get the best benefit out of the deal. So guys, as a recap, just be mindful of what you're doing when we're out in these places. And it's not just a dealership, it can be anywhere. Very mindful. This video I put together was to help us just gain more knowledge and understanding this process and how to take control. I can't stress that enough. I kind of felt bad when I was in there that the finance guy tried to take advantage of me, but I caught him. Red-handed, and he did not even come back out to even speak to me. After he gave me the paper, he just kind of dropped the paper and just kept going. Those guys are so money hungry. But I do want to, we spoke about that already. I do want to give you a recap, right? Whenever you want a car, if you can wait the 6 to 10 weeks to build a car, that is the best option, because you're not going to get the markup price from the dealership once it arrives. You have your number out the door. Make sure that sales manager signs that number that out the door number before your car is even ordered. Make sure you negotiate the amount that you put down. That is always a negotiable. Do not let them tell you anything different. It is very negotiable to decide on what number, what amount to put down. Yes, this is standard, but you know, everything's flexible. Nothing's etched in stone. The next thing is, you know, just paying attention to those numbers, man. That final bill of sale. Just paying attention to those numbers, understanding what he's telling you. And if you don't understand, if you do not understand, ask him the same question 3 or 4 times. There was times I was like, I don't understand. Can you explain to me? He'll try to explain it to me, and I was like, I still don't understand. Can you explain this in another way? And then he tried to explain it again, and you know, I had him one more time. Hey, can you explain this? Or maybe you can get somebody else to help me explain it. Or should I get somebody on the phone that, you know, can kind of articulate to me what this guy is saying to me? Because they use language and they're fast moving and things like that. But we talked about that. But those are the key points, right? Order it if you can. Get the manager to sign the bill, the original invoice. Negotiate your down payment. Pay very attention to your bill of sale. And stay in touch with your sales rep throughout your build process. On that note, I hope this video was very helpful to everyone. Like I said, if you need any kind of like feedback, drop them in the comments below. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. It's redeye_rod. And on that note, I am out.